Hi, good evening, Skyflet Stories. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are good. Please stay tuned. We're going to talk about MMA fighting as well as conditioning, mental and physical conditioning. This is a topic you don't want to miss out on. We've got a young lady and a young guy with their coach going to talk about conditioning. I think that's one thing that we need to, as adults, teach our youngsters. There's a lot of bad habits that we pick up, and conditioning, mental conditioning, and physical conditioning is two things that we should talk about, and also how mixed martial arts can change your life. With me in the studio, guys, I've got Fidaah Edries, coach, and his students, and they're gonna talk to us about mental conditioning using MMA to boost your confidence, and also, how you can protect yourself using MMA. Hey, Mr. Idris and team, how are you guys doing?
Hi, good day there. How are you doing? How you doing? Stan, I'm good. Yes, today we're going to be speaking about how important is the mental training, the mental conditioning um, for a person in general, and of course in martial arts or in sports as well. So I have a job now for 6 years, but I have been mental coaching for 9 years, and it is very important and a very important aspect of the game as well. So, like a lot of people, is extremely talented, but they have certain issues that affects them in the long run. So, the short run, they win a couple of fights, but then you see where are they in 5 years or 6 years time. So, I think the foundation of your careers in whatever you want to achieve in peak performance is your mental conditioning or your mental training to make sure that it's working for you and not against you. I think that is the defining factors to make sure that all of your thoughts, all of your energy, all of your emotions is working for you and not against you in whatever you want to achieve in life. So yeah, I have my students over here, Sarah Fish and Umso Nkonki. So Sarah will speak about, I've been working with her for about 2 years. So she will just speak about the effects of the mental coaching, the life coaching on her for that period of time. Nice. Thank you, Sharon. Awesome stuff over there. And then, of course, from a fighter's perspective, we have Umso. Umso will just give his experience on the mental training which he receives at Fighters Inc. And he fought not too long ago. He is an up and coming champ, same as you remember his name, Umso Nkonki. He does boxing and MMA. But yeah, just starting with the mind.
My name is Umso Nkonki. I started about last year February. Uh, and as coach said, like mental aspect is extremely important in fighting. One of the most important because as good as it can be, and all the skills, if you don't believe that you can execute it, especially in a fight where there's people watching, there's judges watching, people say that a lot of pressure on them, and usually I don't feel that pressure because of mental training and coach visualization. So we visualize the fight, we do the drills, train, do the shadow boxing, you visualize being there. So by the time you are there, it feels like home instead of you feeling like you've never been there before, nervous. So like that's why I personally don't feel nervous in the fight because of the coaches training, to the visualization, all that. And by the time you get there, been there a million times, and just execute exactly what you train. And also, obviously, you have to have the skill, but to execute the skill, you need the mental training. So you have the skill, you do the training with coach, listen to him, you do your sprints, you do your jogging, you do the long runs. So when you get there, everything is perfect. Mind, if the mind is good, the body is good.
Nice, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, so in terms of mental training, it's important that you know understand how your mind works. So we have the conscious brain and the subconscious brain. The conscious brain can distinguish between true and false logic. This logical brain, it can tell you that it is not morning now, it's evening, it's nighttime, and so on. And then we have the subconscious brain that can't distinguish between those two. And the subconscious brain controls about 80% of the bodily functions, whether it's digestion, whether it is processing thoughts, whether it is all of those things. So the subconscious controls a lot of the body responses. So what we normally believe or negative beliefs normally goes into the subconscious and then we act it out without knowing it most of the time, whether it is irresponsible, I always lose stuff, I always get sick. So you will see people who say these things, they always get sick, or those things always happen to them because it's something which they have been programmed to do or to think from a young age. So if we do the reverse, if we become aware of limiting negative beliefs that was put into the subconscious and we replace that with positive beliefs that you choose to be, it's like as if your brain is a program, subconscious a program, computer program, but you're not sure what software is inside in the program. And you can actually discover it and then, of course, put your program in that you want, the program for effectiveness, the program for what goals you want to achieve, in a way to sort of guarantee that you're going to get the results you want. So most people, they're not sure how they respond in terms of flight or fight response to conflict, to whatever the case might be, and you leave it all to chance. So Kosaras, who teach self-defense, of course, females who need to defend themselves, if they don't know that they have a freeze response or flight response, then even if they learn self-defense for a while, they won't actually defend themselves. Because maybe something happened when they were younger, where they felt powerless and they couldn't defend themselves, so they go back into that state. So it's important to first acknowledge, become conscious of how you think, and then you can address it and you can go with it. And then you can actually stop, reflect, and then choose what program you would like to program, how you would program yourself for your success. So that is number one, awareness, and then reprogramming yourself, stop limiting negative beliefs, realize where it came from, deal with that. It's very important. You need to go see a counselor for that. I always encourage people, go to your psychologist, go to your therapist, and then you can move freely forward in life confidently. And then you can choose your program that you like. And that is what I do with my fighters and my clients. I see actors, I see music producers, business people, and of course, fighters that I've been working with for over 8 years now. And that is when you can sort of program your fighter to know that you can fight confident, like Umsu said now. Yeah, so on that note, Umsu, who do you think is a fighter at UFC level who's good in that mental training, who's been training student sharp and effective?
But you know, kind of good.
Conor McGregor, why do you say that?
Because we've heard him speak about it multiple times. Like he always speaks about mental part, staying calm. He always sees this. A lot of people like keep to themselves. So like he likes to express himself. Talks about the mental aspect of it. And people talk about how he takes it people's head because he knows himself. Always says that if you know yourself, you can know. If you know how you feel, you know how other people. So
Yeah.
And the visualization is always spoken about that for a long time. Yeah, and also affirmations, talking to yourself. The coach always tells us about that, talking to yourself.
Positive self-talk.
Exactly, because like whatever you say, it's gonna happen. Because like before my first fight, I was talking about getting KO. I said it not fight weeks out. I said I'm gonna get a KO this week. It's gonna be a body shot, and everything that I said happened. Got a TKO with a body shot. And I said it's going to happen, sit around and happen like that. And you see people like Conor McGregor doing these things. And coach telling me that whatever you say, it's going to happen. Just for some reason, it just happened because I told myself, I truly believe it's going to happen. It turned out that way.
Yeah. I think he's similar to Muhammad Ali with affirmation aspect, not in the legacy aspect of it, of the mental aspect of it. Muhammad Ali would always say, I'm going to beat him in round 2. I am the best that it ever was. I'm the prettiest even. I'm fast like lightning. So that would what you call affirmations. So you would say affirmations, but then to make it stick, you would say it verbally, internationally for the whole world, so that he must make that come true. So that is what Muhammad Ali done. He said it out in the open, in the media, and of course on media as well.
People think that they say trying to be cocky. Nothing to do with that. It's them trying to fight their own mind, because your mind will always go to the negative side. Your mind will always that's why it's off to the gym. That's why it's off to stick to the gym, because the mind doesn't want us, so you have to fight the mind. And Muhammad Ali can't be the same things. They're not saying those things to make other people feel small. No, they're saying that those things to make them feel big, to make them truly believe that they can do it. As you can see, the pages now, so definitely does.
So I think a lot of us, we're not always programmed to be top achievers, like especially come from privileged and underprivileged background. Then your thoughts are normally limiting. You can't do this, you can't do that, whatever the case might be. Maybe you're so down. So then you develop a sort of a low self-esteem. And that will affect you, of course, when you go to a career. You want to do very well, you want to go to a sport, you want to do very well, whatever the case might be. Then you feel inferior in that sense. So I think that is why life coaching, mental coaching, peak performance coaching or training or mental training, conditioning, it is very important to become aware first if you do think any beliefs or thoughts about yourself, and then of course what you can do about it. Where you can actually change it around and actually do whatever you need to do to become the best you can be. Sorry, who's your favorite fighter?
Absolutely. I like how so, so, so confident now. Watch the lost fight.
Yes.
The lost fight. Young.
Yeah.
I'm the least.
Yes.
Eyes.
Yes.
And she showed the world that she was.
Yes. So that was an example of an affirmation that she told herself. Where she told people beat her before, whatever the case might be, but then she and her husband, said, "You're the best, you're the best," and that's what she had to repeat the whole time. That no matter what she fought, because Wayne is a tough fighter, she knocks everybody out. And then she actually could beat her by saying that, and immediately after she got so emotional, and she still repeated it, "I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best." So that's just the power of affirmations alone, repeating positive statements that affirms your goal consistently. So that's another secret we're letting out for tonight. Mental technique for athletes, for and business, for whoever. Like also said, visualization, and then we said also affirmations. So yeah. Is there any other aspect that stick out to you in terms of mental training aspect?
I believe also, like, really like see everything that he says I'm smash, like all that stuff, right? And that's exactly what he does. Everything he says happens exactly. It also comes out from you guy. I saw a video of him on the training room running, saying I'm smash him, and that's exactly what he's doing. So you see these fighters, they're doing that because, as coach said, they're trying to tell their minds. Because a lot of people, as coach said, they put you down, right? And that's them projecting their own insecurities. Yes. You can't imagine yourself as world champions. So now you saying you want to be world champion, they get angry because like who do you think you are to think that you can be champion? But I can't imagine myself. So when you use affirmation, you try to break away from that because you've been told that ever since you were a kid. Yeah, especially when you see other people, they've given up on. And when you try to have hope, they're like, nah, you just stay here. You get what I mean? So when you say those affirmations, you're trying to break away from those things and we truly believe that you're a world champion. And everything you say in training, listen to your coaches, you follow all that, you're gonna achieve greatness.
Yeah, and I just believe that, like, on that note, it's also like there's a level above belief. Believing is the first thing that I always work with in a fight, because you don't. Some people have a deep sense of disbelief. For example, like a lot of fighters, not all, of course, a lot of fighters aren't good in academics. They aren't good in those kind of fields. So based on that, they always used to maybe not get good marks, maybe fail a bit as well. So they feel a bit inferior. So of course that inferiority feeling, it goes over more over other things in their life as well. So somehow or another they feel bad or not they underachieve in everything they try to do. And then my main goal as a coach is to make them believe. And once they start believing, they act different. So you believe you can become a champion. Someone who trains, they will just train, give about 80%, whatever the case might be, to push-ups to the last two halfway. But if someone believes they're a champion, then they act different. So I always talk to them until I know that belief is set in. So talking, training, showing, proving that no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, if you believe, if you make your mind strong, you can, with God, you can do any and everything you set your mind to. Your circumstances doesn't define you. Where you come from doesn't define you. What you went through in life doesn't define you. What you choose to be, acknowledgement of God, acknowledging God's power within you, can allow you to do any and everything you set your heart and your mind to. The sky is the limit. And once that belief and that consciousness sets in, and I see they have a behavioral change, now I know I've got them. The belief is there, they set for motion. They're going to give 110% now in everything they do. And just because of that, they can become big. So I think that is important. And then on the next level above that, I want that belief that become a certainty. So there's mental training, and then things which you practice, and then due to consistency, that belief becomes a certainty, meaning you know it now. You don't have to believe it anymore. It's in you already. You know it. And I think that is where Habib is on, where he knows he's the best. He knows what he can do. When he believes he's going to do something, it's a level about belief. It's a certainty. So his mind is so strong that when we faces, he's going to smash. He's going to do whatever needs to be done. He's going to win. There's no thought or no acknowledgement or no recollection of loss, losing, weakness, soreness, whatever the case might be. Just those winning is winning. He must win. He won already. He's a champion. Dominate, and that is the level above. So yeah, I think that is the level we all want to be on or want to develop our fighters on. And then also for that level of competition, whether it's championship level, even normal pro level, EFC level, or UFC level, the mental aspect of composure is something very important. So that is composure is being able to be calm on your set in your fight, although you know the TV is live. A lot of people is watching you either by a TV on Supersport or whatever the case might be, live or actually in the stadium. So a lot of people, they freeze in that moment, or they can't. So the mental training has a major aspect of that, because you know you could, you know you can do. Your skill level is really high, but then the mental composure, not having composure, can affect everything. Which is again why I think the mental conditioning and the mental training all is important, and the coach should be working on that all the time. Yeah, what do you think about that? Just composure. Yeah. 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 And what's your example of any fighters who never had composure and how it affect the performance?
But can you repeat the averages? Remember my first went into I call about kickboxing. No, I call it boxing. And you saw the guys over there were actually good, but they give them a minute. give them a minute to calm and just keep executing everything properly. But then the calmness stops, they get emotional, they get hit. Then you see the technique flies out the window and they go for the next to get out until someone falls down. So compose is extremely important because must stay focused. Like guy, you want to hit him back, right? Because you want to let the judges know like you win this fight and you want to hit like some people have an ego. Oh my mom's watching, I can't let him get away with that like that. So you got to hit back and then you start swinging. Then the technique goes out there. So like that's what separates the elite from the good because the good are good for a good minute. And after a minute, the composure leaves. So coach always says that. Exactly. So experience, yeah. And like my first fight, I was calm throughout the fight. It rolled because coach told me also calmness. We worked on the calmness even in training. So as soon as I get emotional, he spoke to me. Also get calm, visualize the fight. If it gets you, just know okay, this time you must just relax and pick your shot. You get it back, and knowing that comes to composure. When you're composed, you know you believe that you're gonna get it back. Then you do get it back. You win.
Yeah. I think that is we're talking about composure in terms of martial arts, in terms of sports, even, and then with the composure that you don't get overly nervous, and then that don't get overly angry as well. Because sometimes you can get angry in martial arts. They're hitting you, you want to get angry and hit it back. So it's just for everybody else from MMA or martial arts, boxing is not about anger. It's a sport. Everybody's anger should be controlled. It's controlled aggression and it's skill that is used against skill. And that is the mindset where you want to always outsmart the opponent. You want to always be defensively aware. You want to always catch one openings. And so therefore you need your brain intact. You need to of course flow it calm and not use anger. The more you're angry, the more you're going to be open. The more openings you'll have in your attack, and then you get knocked out. So that is why an experienced person will have more composure because they know that. They will more calm because they know that. And of course, the breathing, like Charlotte said now, you can get very tired, you don't have composure. So the mental training helps you with all of that. And then that, of course, allows the subconscious once again to come through. Once you have composure, all the training you've done, all the combos, all the movements, all the back work, all everything, it's actually comes from the subconscious. You can't think split second every time what you're going to do all the time. So it's a lot of fighting is subconscious. And then when you calm, the subconscious can come out. So I would always tell them it's the same like if you drive a car, you don't think you drive a car so much, you don't have to think about it. It's going to be an automatic response from the subconscious, just driving, whatever, changing gears. And then, of course, by repetition of quick training and calmness and mental training, the fight should be like that as well, given to proper training, of course. Yeah, so I think that's an important aspect for today. I believe Stan had a question. If you can just ask this question again. Yeah, if anybody else has a question, they can ask me.
Okay, coach. There is just
Somebody?
one thing I want to ask you, man. Conditioning is very
Yes.
important. So if you look at Mike Tyson, there was times when that,
Yes.
that man started crying. He started crying just before a match or before he had to fight. One of the
Mhm.
best fighters,
Yeah.
because of his upbringing and his instability. If you follow his story, it sort of broke him. He didn't know
Mhm.
he was one of probably at the time one of the most powerful fighters ever, but because
Mhm.
of his upbringing and the responsibility on his shoulders, and his coach did the best. And I mean, to bring a guy like Mike Tyson into the ring,
Mhm.
making him a world known brand, it's
Mhm.
brilliant. And
Yeah.
and I think that is what a lot of fighters do have the potential. But here's another thing: what if you lose? You already, like Mike, lost a few fights because he was obviously going through some difficulty, and then you're already broken. Now you have to work much more harder. What is the advice you would give? Because we do have problems and obstacles in our lives, right? So how do we come back, from falling down? How do we prepare yourself mentally for the next fight? Because you might have been a champion at the previous fight, and then you come,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden, you're not champion anymore. Now you have to condition that mindset to go back into the ring. Where do you start and how do you start?
Yeah. I think it's an important question because now We have fighters like Ryan Garcia, who's supposed to fight Theo Lopez, eh? And then he also has problems, anxiety problems, and issues like that. So that's the important thing. What I tell my fighters as well is that if there is any personal issues that you need to deal with, then you have to go see a therapist. Of course, if I'm your coach, I shouldn't be your therapist. You're a psychologist in that sense. Your performance coach, yes, but not your psychologist. You should go deal with any issues you do have. It's very important. It's very good. It is healthy. It's very good to go see somebody if anything issues you went through. I think that's very important that you know that you went through something difficult, emotionally, psychologically, mentally. That it's important that you go to see a therapist for that specifically. So that would, of course, keep you stable, keep you balanced, keep you mentally healthy, or to be able to focus on big challenges like fights or like championship fights and so on and so forth. And then so it's very important to go see some therapist, get mentally well, get mentally healthy, be stable, be proactive in that regard. Because like now, like what Ryan will see, the whole world can is like aware that you have to be with anxiety now. So of course, if you can deal with it as soon as you can, then deal with it as soon as you can. And then of course you practice your whatever works for you in terms of mental training. Go to a mental coach, and then of course you start from scratch. You look at what other methods have worked for you previously, how you felt in fights, what certain techniques or methods worked for you in terms of peak performance, and you go back to the original recipe or the original method that you were doing it at, to become your personal best game. Yeah, I think that answers the question. Yeah, any other questions? If people want to ask questions or Stan want to ask another question.
Yeah, the last one. so
Yeah.
so I spoke to you earlier on. I just want to show you a video quickly. Can I just show you this one video that
Yes.
I have here?
See.
Because then I can make an example about definition. Let me just show you here 1 second for me. I'll share the screen now with you. And here we go.
Another left hand now working on a guillotine. Nurmagomedov countering to the proper side, going to the far side of that headlock, and he's out. A fist there. Got to be a conditioning of these guys. And Nurmagomedov just has not stopped throwing punches inside mount, now into mount, and this could be bad news for Shalarus. And Nurmagomedov trying to get that rear naked choke. He's kind of in an awkward position, but looks like he's finishing it. That's it. So the UFC and US debut for Khabib Nurmagomedov goes according to plan. Welcome to America. Tavares tries to get a combination going, unable to find his range there. And Nurmagomedov floors him. There's that shot. It was a leaping uppercut, it looked like, with that lead hand that dropped Tavares. Nurmagomedov really dropping bombs now with those elbows. And Tavares is all but out here. That'll do it. Khabib Nurmagomedov. Wow. How good is that kid, Kenny? Yeah, he caught him with that leaping uppercut, with that lead hand. Caught Tavares
Some of
and finished him off with
some of his
elbows.
opponents,
Brutal.
some of Khabib's opponents are defined. They are muscular. They're strong-looking guys, and then you have this guy that they know he's built, well built, but he's winning all of them. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to understand it because people normally go to the guy that looks, fitted, have all the muscles. But I mean, sometimes you don't need the muscles. I think you just need a game plan. So
Yeah.
how do you look at this?
Mm. In terms of someone I actually saw a podcast last week saying that your strength comes from your mind. Your strength comes from your mind. It's very interesting. So with Khabib, like we spoke earlier on already now, his belief is a conviction. So that's a level above belief where he's convinced and convinced and convicted that God must grant him victory, and that is he knows that he's going to win no matter what. So his belief is a conviction, no matter who he fights, no matter what challenge he fights. And if you look at it like his striking length isn't high, so his his striking level doesn't look that high. So even if he faces a good striker like Conor, you will outstrike him. He actually knocked him down in the fight. So his belief is not just a belief, his belief is a firm conviction that he knows he's going to do very well, and he believes he's strong. He believes he's going to wrestle you out. He believes he will take you down. He believes he will out grapple you. Um, and and that belief and conviction is so strong that nothing can break it, no matter what Conor done in terms of the smash talk, the trash, the trash talk before the fight. He was so convinced that he is the best in the world, and that is what the result is always going to get, because his mind and his soul is very strong. His belief is strong.
So conditioning plays a very important role if you come to it. If your mind is set, on winning, then you are going to win. But then also we must not confuse mental conditioning with ego. There's obviously a difference between ego and
Ego.
mental conditioning.
Yes. Okay, let's define ego. What is ego?
Because we don't want to feel like it's very confident, right? Like, confident to the point where you don't feel like to like else. It's definitely a confident person. Like, they are confident, like they know that. At the same time, they are humble enough to listen to coaches because they know that coaches know better than this for longer to see the situations. So, but an ego, a person with an ego, will like, okay, I don't need to train now. I don't need to listen to my coach. I just get in there and do what I do. And so that's the difference between ego. And confidence is grounded in knowing that you are confident going to this, but at the same time, you need like you need people to help you, right? Like your coach, more than, but you're confident, but at the same time, you're humble. The person who has an ego doesn't feel like they need to learn from anybody else. They feel like they only need themselves. So that's that's when it leads to losses more than
So ego is based on a foundation which is not solid. So it's like inflated. It's like air bubbles. Whereas confidence is built on a solid foundation of respect and being humble. And with that, you're putting in 110% of training every time. You don't think you're so good that you don't have to train so much. You don't have to sprint so much. You don't have to spar so much. That is ego. But confidence is when you respect your coach, you respect every aspect of training that has been put into you. You know you have to be consistent with it to maintain the results you want to get, and therefore you're confident and focused and you're committed and you're humble over the long term, and you always protecting yourself against ego. Yeah.
And I
So
think this
in
is, and I
yeah.
also think that this is very important because ego can destroy not only your career in MMA, but it can destroy your career at work as well. So you need to be confident in what you do, and like we
Mm.
say, like we now focus on mental conditioning, we focus on physical conditioning. Obviously, this is not only you have to train. This is a lifestyle. So a good athlete have to stay, like, you want to say, in keep most of the time, because
Yes.
you don't know when you are gonna go into fight. Okay, I don't fight, but I mean, you guys have to look at what you eat.
Yeah.
You guys have to look at your
Exactly.
friend circle, because your friends in your friend circle can be your two most difficult enemies. If you don't look at
Mm.
your mental
That's
conditioning as well as
important.
your, and that is the problem that we have in society. Our friend circle, also, just to come back to Mike Tyson, later on when his ego took over,
Mm.
he started meeting with the wrong crowd, mixing with the wrong crowd, and that
Mm.
also sort of made him become the person that nobody liked anymore, because eventually you turn
Yeah.
into a monster. So
Yeah.
just more on your friend circle. Obviously, when you're a fighter, when you
Mm.
want to have confidence, you have to have the proper circle as well.
Yes. I think that's very important in general in life as well. They say that you become like those that you associate with in every aspect. Like everybody, all major thinkers always stress that it's important to choose your company. It's important to choose because that dictates what you do. It dictates what you speak about as well. It dictates how you feel about yourself also. So normally you would always associate with people that you would like to become like, so that you can grow. So if you are, so you always look at people who is also, for say example, you want to become an entrepreneur. So you would always associate with other people who are better entrepreneurs than you, because of course the conversation is going to be different. How they're going to act towards if they are better entrepreneurs than what you are, and then what are you going to be learning from them by just being around them all the time? So I think that is an important aspect of choosing your friends. As an example, can be your personal friends, can be your work friends, can be your sporting friends, whatever the case might be. Those that you associate with in general, the most of the time, you're going to become like. So if you can choose it so you can grow as a human being, then why not choose certain people or friends that's going to help you grow and help you improve and help you get better and help you stay grounded and help you to become the best you can be in that aspect. So I think that's a very important aspect for us, to choose your friends, to choose your company, even to choose conversations as a result of that. And then, of course, your level of thinking also, yeah, very important.
Apologies. Yeah.
On.
There we go. That's all from my side. It was a very informative session. Thank you very much to you and the team for sharing this
Thanks for
information
having
with us.
us.
Yeah,
Understand.
thanks. Thanks. And we will do this next week again. People need to know more about conditioning. And also, we will go into the types of fights, the types of components, the types of fighting styles, because
Yeah.
each component or each individual have a very unique style of fighting. So we will definitely look into that. But thank you very
Yeah.
much,
Talk about
gentlemen
some
and
funny
ladies.
styles as well. Yeah.
Yes,
We can talk about some funny styles as well.
yes.
Some awkward things.
Mm-mm.
Uh, like I think Sarah has a dance she does before fights. So
Okay,
she can talk about that.
okay, okay.
So yeah, people have certain cues that they do before they perform at the peak, for them to perform at the peak as well. So it's like
Mm-mm.
success habits or whatever they do on fight day, then
Mm-mm.
it helps you get into your zone. So normally it's a pattern that you do that helps you get into your zone. Another secret, of course, I'm getting out.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so we can talk more about those kind of stuff. We can talk more about what aspects it takes to be a martial artist, to be a fighter. I'm sure Umso likes to talk a lot. Then get Mr. Terence involved as well. They know everything about the fighting world. You can ask them about anything: boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, local, international, EFC, UFC, One FC, Brave, anything. Yeah, so we can talk about that. I'm sure all the fight fans will start to get tuned in now. And then if there's anything else, you can just pop in my DMs and then ask whatever you need to ask me, and then we will take it further, even make it a question for the next session as well. So yeah,
Okay. Coach and team, thank you very much. It was very informative. And I do hope that from this type of podcast that we do get youngsters joining the
yeah,
sport, because I remember when we were young, I did karate, and that sort of kept me sane. It sort of kept me motivated and on the right
yeah.
path. So I think like things like like sports like this, not maybe as a career, but also as a hobby, just to keep us busy and to teach us
Yeah.
good values. Because I mean, things like this sticks with youngsters for the rest of their life. So it's a very
Yeah.
good form of discipline, to have when you're a youngster. So thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. I'll catch up with you
Thank you,
guys
man.
next week. Next week is Friday,
Man.
the same time, 6 o'clock.
Yes. Can we close with our terms closing so that you can also just hear how MMA
Yeah,
can instill discipline? Okay. What do
yeah.
we believe?
Believe, give conviction, certain
What do we believe?
discipline, commitment,
Awesome. How do you believe?
all first self,
What's your method?
hard work, dedication, business.
What is our goal? Thank you very much, guys. Have an awesome evening. See you guys next week.
Was
Thank you, coach.
Cheers.
I'll check you guys again. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
thanks.
Cheers, man.
Mom didn't even believe in me. I kept going though. All I can say is I told you. Jury at the bank now in the vault. You should have never doubted me. I'ma work to my last breath. I'ma hustle to my last.